Hello, it is Jack Gill, and welcome back to Anfield Agenda. I am bringing you my live match reaction following Liverpool's 3-0 win against Norwich. We have got the 2021-2022 season off with a bang. But before I go into my match reaction and go into your comments, we've got to talk about Surfshark, who are our sponsors for today's video. Surfshark is an app and/or browser extension which allows you to browse the internet anonymously. You can unlock the world's largest Netflix libraries, such as the US or Japan. It also keeps you anonymous and secure from hackers, particularly on public Wi-Fi, e.g. in school, college, cafes, etc. Surfshark secures your data with industry-leading measures by using uncrackable encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. It's easy to install and runs on all your devices with one single subscription. You can get 83% off and an extra 3 months free by clicking the link below and using the code AnfieldAgenda at the checkout. Now, Surfshark, I've used that several times when I was in sixth form. It was brilliant, a brilliant way to get around, when you're in schools and they've locked ridiculous things. So it was a brilliant way to get around things like that. And honestly, going back, I've got no filter on shows like this. Going back to when I was in year 7 and 8 at school, when my parents would block things at home, I wish I'd found VPN sooner. I'll tell you that now. It would have saved me a lot of embarrassment. But yeah, here we go. And I am in a fantastic mood today. What a win that was. What a way to start the season. We'll start from the start, really, which is the team news. A lot of people shocked by the team news. The most shocking thing probably from the team news was the lack of Firmino in the starting lineup. A lot of people expected Firmino not to start. A lot of people knew Thiago and Henderson wouldn't start. I don't think anyone expected them not to be in the squad at all, though. But I think a lot of people had Firmino started. So when he was on the bench, that was a big shock. And Ox-Chamberlain given the nod after what was a phenomenal. Why am I struggling with that word? Phenomenal. I'm going to ignore that word. After a brilliant performance on Monday night in our final friendly, of course. He got the nod. I don't think it was the most impressive performance from him today, but he definitely earned his start, and fair play to Klopp for rewarding him with it. And I think it was good from Jurgen Klopp to do that. I think it was a good attacking lineup. After all our injuries last season, I didn't want and I don't expect Klopp to risk players like Thiago and Henderson, Fabinho, who have had a shorter pre-season than everyone else. And therefore, the one exception from that today was Jota, who obviously came back late from the Euros, but he still had a longer pre-season than the likes of Jordan Henderson and Thiago and players like that, because obviously Thiago's pre-season was interrupted by his injury. So yeah, I don't want Klopp to risk players like that this early in the season when they're not fully fit. We learned from that last season at the end of the day, and players today that played had a full pre-season under him, and it was good to see players like Naby Keita, Ox-Chamberlain rewarded for having fantastic pre-seasons and given the nod. I expected James Milner to start because he's Klopp's go-to man, isn't he? Full pre-season, no Henderson in the squad. Milner was always going to get a start. But yeah, I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back into the game, and there's one huge talking point for me today, and it's titled after it. Once again, Mohamed Salah, absolutely superb, and I suppose we've got to call him the 5-season wonder now, haven't we? A goal and 2 assists today. Granted, the first assist I don't think he meant too much of, but it's an assist nonetheless. And for me, he was just absolutely superb today once again. His finish was top draw. It's a world-class finish from him. And he could have got more. He really could have. He was just absolutely outstanding. He caused Norwich so many problems. And that's why I've titled this "Give Salah What He Wants," because it's what he deserves. And I think I saw this inspiration for the title from Ben Webb on Twitter. Who tweeted that, and he's absolutely right. Salah is phenomenal. I'm struggling again. Phenomenal. He's phenomenal, and he absolutely deserves a new contract that he's going to get. He deserves to be the highest paid player in the history of the football club. because he's just outstanding. And there will be so many football clubs in the world after this man, because what a talent he is. He really is absolutely outstanding. And I can see from RSH 14, says that Salah is a 1-season wonder, aged so well. Absolutely, like I say, a 5-season wonder now. And, there's so many different things that were said about Mohamed Salah before he came. I remember someone, comparing him to Juan Cuadrado. I don't need to say who said that, because they've already received enough abuse. But I think he's proven people like that wrong, hasn't he? And, I think a lot of people were happy outside of Liverpool fans for having him in their FPL. But for us Liverpool fans, it's just outstanding to see once again we're going into another season with someone like Mohamed Salah, who in front of goal is just absolutely deadly, and just a superb player. And he could be so important for us. And, I saw a performance like this from Mohamed Salah today purely because he's not scored a single goal in pre-season, and I just thought he's going to cause Norwich so many problems. He loves a goal on the first game of the season. And he's just terrific, isn't he? But anyway, I'll try and save waxing lyrical from about Mohamed Salah for a bit later. Next talking point: Virgil van Dijk. 90 minutes in the tank. He looked brilliant. He didn't really have to step out of first gear today, did he? Norwich caused us a couple of problems at times, but not too many. And I thought Van Dijk looked sound. And for him to get 90 minutes under his belt in the first game of the season after a difficult season last season, that's a really good thing to take away from today, as well as the clean sheet, as well as the 3 points, as well as the 3-0 win to start us off. Over the moon with that for Van Dijk. I want to talk next about Alisson. And, Alisson had a quiet day, but when he was called upon, he makes a world-class save once again. How many times do we talk about Alisson Becker doing that? Time and time again, Alisson Becker produces a world-class save when he's standing in the cold for most of the game. It's a really, really good save. And, when you saw it at first, you thought, what a save. And then when Sky do their typical slowing down, different angles, it just gets better and better, doesn't it? And, we talk time and time again. I've just spoke about Van Dijk. We spoke about Firmino at the start of the show. Alisson now as well that we're talking about. And, that window where we lost Coutinho, who at the time was our best player, and we invested in a world-class spine in bringing in Alisson, in bringing in Van Dijk, which of course came the January prior, in bringing in Fabinho. It was just one of the best decisions we've ever made as a football club, and they are 3 world-class players. And as I say, what a save from Alisson, and he saved us that clean sheet today. And how important might that be at the end of the season for him personally, with his in the quest for a Golden Glove, which he missed out on, of course, last season with all our defensive woes throughout the season. But yeah, fantastic once again from Alisson Becker. Next up, I want to talk about Kostas Tsimikas. Where do I start with this lad? I thought there were bright moments going forward. He reminded me at times, and don't read into this too much, but at times it was a bit Moreno-like, weren't it? In the fact that it was rash. You could tell he didn't have much Premier League experience. Well, he doesn't have any really, does he? It was just at times. Well, we saw James Milner frustratingly, shouting in his face at one point when he thought he had about, half an hour on the ball and took way too long on the ball, and was, gave the ball away in his own half stupidly. And at times, as a supporter watching it, that's how I felt at Kostas Tsimikas today. There were a couple of lapses in concentration, but yeah, there were some positives to take as well. There really were. And as Dara points out, he looked good in the first half. There was some sloppiness at times in the second, but yeah, I don't think we can read into it too much. Maybe will that be a worry going into the Chelsea game potentially? But we've got Burnley next weekend, should be fine again. And I don't think we should read into it too much. It was very much, as Dara says, it was a game of 2 halves. His second half, very shaky, very sloppy at times. First half, I thought he was good and gave us nothing really to worry about. Let's have a look. Any more comments from you lot about what we've spoken about so far? Dara Dante says, make Mo take Gini's fourth captain position. Interesting talking point, because I know, obviously, if we look at last season when Trent was given the armband, obviously there was a lot of stories surrounding that situation and suggesting that it annoyed Mohamed Salah, who wanted out because of it, because he wants to be higher up in the pecking order of the captaincy at Liverpool. We know Klopp usually does it in terms of longest, who's played for the club for the longest. We saw that with Roberto Firmino getting the armband in our final friendly on Monday, of course, against Osasuna. But Trent was awarded with the armband last season. I believe it was against Midfield. And, it would be interesting to see who does get that fourth captain spot. And, I don't think it's too important. Most clubs don't really think about it. Last season was an anomaly. Obviously, Milner isn't one of the first names in the team sheet. He's not a guaranteed starter, really. There's quite a few people higher up than him. So, Van Dijk, touching all the wood everywhere that I can see. Hopefully won't miss many more games for Liverpool Football Club. So hopefully we don't need a fourth captain. Let's be honest. Let's have a look. Gamer Station says, if Salah leaves, then no one can replace him. I think this is a really good talking point, because I think everyone's been greedy in the past, and we've spoke about a lot. Oh, well, everyone wants Mbappe, obviously very young. Well, how can we get Mbappe with how the club runs? Well, you think we have to sell one of our front three, one of our assets. And out of everyone who would cost the most, who would bring in the most amount of money? Mohamed Salah. So then everyone gets greedy and goes, oh, well, no brainer, do that. But nobody thinks, nobody uses their brain, nobody thinks of it in footballing terms. And, for me, Mohamed Salah, I think Gamer Station is quite right. What he's brought to Liverpool Football Club, nobody would bring the same. Nobody would. You think of his first season, the records he broke in that first season, the records he's broke since. He's grown in confidence. His ability has grown. And for everyone that calls him a system player that's an opposition fan, so what? It works. And, every season people think, oh, well, maybe this is the season where it'll fall off as Mohamed Salah and it won't quite work. But every season he proves them wrong. And I know we're talking just after the first game of the season, and, so many things can happen throughout the course of the season. And yes, Salah could have a dip in form, but, we're speaking about it at the start of the season again and again and again, when Mohamed Salah turns up and looks absolutely superb once again. And, fingers crossed. And I have no doubt in my mind that Mohamed Salah will keep this up throughout the whole season, because that is how good of a footballer he is. He is world class without a doubt. And, he is really outstanding. He's definitely one of the best players in the league. He really, really is. I don't think anyone could argue with that. Dara Azizi says, thoughts on how Ox played? I thought he was decent. It wasn't someone that stood out in the game for me. I don't think he had his greatest of games. I think it was just a decent performance from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think that was summed up by the fact that he was bought off after an hour. There were a couple of moments where I thought he did good, particularly with his pressing. There was one point where him and Keita dispossessed Norwich in their own half. It was good work between the two of them to dispossess, but other than that, he didn't really do much in the game for me. It was an all right performance from Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I've seen him do loads better. He looked so lively in pre-season, so full of energy, so fit, but today he just looked meh. And it wasn't great. It was just, he looked a bit flat. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, he looked quite flat. But yeah, let's have a look in the comments. Anyone else think of anything on Ox? Brian Morrissey says it was shop window job for Ox. Mick Wall says he thought Ox was poor. Rob W says Ox played poor. Dara Azizi says I wasn't impressed. Yeah, but I think it wasn't a great performance. I don't think anyone was particularly poor today. I don't think anyone stood out for me as someone that was poor. I think that obviously Tsimikas was shaky in the second half, but for me, Ox, I think flat is the word I'm looking for. I really do. I think flat is the right word. But you know, and Cube said bang average. I'd say as well myself. It was an average performance. It was decent, but I wouldn't say it was awful. I wouldn't say that at all. As for the shop window stuff, potentially. It depends on what we plan to bring in. I think he's a good option if we're not bringing anyone else in. We saw that from pre-season. But yeah, it wasn't great. And as Mick Wall says, going into the game, the midfield was a shock, wasn't it? It didn't seem very balanced. It seemed like a very attacking side. I worried how we'd do without Fabinho. But with that being said, I had faith in Jurgen Klopp, and I understood the reasons why he picked that team. But yeah, I think Ox only goes if there's a good offer for him, and it would have to be a strong offer. And you think we got Ox in for, I think it was 40 million with add-ons, wasn't it? 40 million, something like that. We're not going to sell him for on the cheap. We're not. And you look at the offers we're getting for Shaqiri. We're going to sell him for cheaper than we hoped. We're not getting offers anywhere near the valuation for Origi. I think the only way that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain goes this window is on a loan move, and I can't see it, to be honest. I think, you know, as a player, I don't think we're going to bring too many players in, and I think Ox is too valuable of an option at times, and of course he's homegrown. So therefore, I don't think he'll go. And somebody says here, 35 million for Ox is what we paid. Yeah, 35 mil. So I don't think we get anywhere near that for him at the moment. And you know, I think that's just how the window is right now. I can't see it. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But I don't think Ox goes this window personally. That's my point. Let's have a look. I can't pronounce your name. I'm not going to. Let me try and butcher it. Byrorona. I'm not going to bother with the last name. Byrorona, though, is what we're going with. He says our midfield was not creative enough. We have this conversation time and time again, you know, about our midfield. People saying, "Oh, we need a creative midfielder." That's not the job of a Liverpool midfield under Jurgen Klopp. Fair enough. Yeah, when you see Ox and Keita on the team sheet, you think, "Oh, we're going to go all guns blazing. There's going to be so much creativity there." But Klopp likes more than that from a midfield, doesn't he? Especially a starting midfield. And usually that's why Keita looks good coming from the bench, and so does Ox at times, because they come on and they give us a different dynamic, because Klopp opens up the midfield and demands more creativity later in the game when potentially the game isn't going well for us. But from the start, you know, the lack of creativity is Klopp likes more well-rounded midfielders, you know, hence the whole Gini Wijnaldum disagreement that there was about him and him as a player, because we all see from his performances for the Netherlands what he's capable of. You know, we all know that he is a creative player, he is good going forwards, but in a Klopp system, that wasn't the role he was asked to play. And I think potentially it was a similar case for Naby and Ox today. However, I do agree. I think both of them weren't at their best today. And, you know, I think I'd agree with that comment about Ox looking very flat. Let's have a look. Jake Campbell says, will you be doing one of these every game? Yes, I will. Is that something you like? Well, we'll see. Where's Hendo? Why did Klopp not start him? Says TDD20. He's not fully fit. He's not had a full pre-season. As you saw, he didn't play even 45 minutes in our final pre-season game. So that's why I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with them two, him and Thiago. I mean, next weekend, will they start? Will they be on the bench? It'll also be interesting to see with Virgil van Dijk. He's done 90 minutes this week. Will he chop and change for next week, Klopp? You know, of course, we've got Burnley, who a tough tackling side. Will Klopp want to risk him in that game, or will he go for something different? Will he rest him for the Chelsea game a week later? It's going to be interesting, our team for next weekend. Rob W says Keita has been really good. Harvey Elliott would be better playing than Ox. I think Klopp was forced into it just by how good Ox was on Monday night. I thought he was outstanding on Monday, and I think that's why he was forced into playing him. I know Harvey Elliott has been good throughout pre-season, but obviously he's not as experienced in the Premier League as Ox. And it was nice to see, by the way, Harvey Elliott getting minutes at the end of the game. Maybe in hindsight, after how Ox played, Klopp would have preferred to start Harvey Elliott, but you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I thought Keita was the better of the two. I thought he played well. But I thought Ox was very flat and deserved to be the one that came off from that midfield first. And I think it says everything. Usually Klopp would have bought Milner off because, he needed to protect the fact that Milner had been booked. And that was a worry and a cloud hanging over him. So usually Klopp would have bought Milner off. But I think, after the performance of Ox, he had to be the one substituted for me. And it was a really big drop-off from his performance on Monday night. Let's have a look. John Hamilton says, I have a feeling if we do sign anyone, it will be the mid-season window. Could be. I do think there's at least one incoming before the end of the transfer window. I really do think that. This comment's just laughable. We'll move on. Yep, Jake Campbell's glad I'm doing these. Thank God you said that. Paul Watson says, praying that Naby stays fit this season. Yeah, it sounds cliche, but he could be the Gini Wijnaldum replacement because, until now, we've not had Naby Keita. We've not had I don't think we've even had half a season of Naby Keita because, he's had so many injury problems. There was obviously COVID involved last season as well. It's just been so stop-start. And if you can keep him fit for the entire season, then, or even if he just misses a couple of games, then that is, that's better than we've had the last few seasons. And then I don't think we do need a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum. But that is a big but. That is a huge but because, we can't really risk that with Naby because we've seen him getting injured time and time again. I think it's the same with Joel Matip, and that's why Klopp and everyone at Liverpool had to bring in Konate, especially after all our defensive problems last season with Van Dijk and Gomez having long-term injuries as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, how reliable is Keita? How much of a chance do we have of keeping him fit for the entire season? He's made out of breadsticks, we know that. So realistically, it's slim. And we can all cross our fingers. We can all hope because he would be so important for us. He's a top quality player. But yeah, I don't think, as long as he can stay fit for longer than he has done for seasons gone by. But yeah, staying fit for a whole season, I think is a difficult task for him. Let's have a look. Naby is a serious baller. It's a shame he has wet noodles as hamstrings. I think his entire body's made out of noodles, to be honest. Oscar Murphy says we definitely need someone in attack before AFCON. Completely agree. Dara Azizi says, how close is Curtis Jones to returning? It was concussion, I believe, so he should be back for the Burnley game. Inglesey001 says, people being way too harsh with Ox after only one game. Come on, I would agree with that, and that's why I was saying, it was a big drop-off from Monday to this week. It wasn't his best performance. He was decent. We don't need to read into it too much. I thought today for Tsimikas, Ox, and Naby, it was an opportunity for them to go, you know what, you've had a full pre-season, you've impressed us in pre-season, let's see if you can earn yourself more minutes in the Premier League this season. And, Naby gave Klopp a food for thought, which I'm sure Klopp already knows how good of a talent Naby Keita is. It's just keeping him fit. Ox probably let Klopp down today, and Tsimikas was just a mixed bag. And it was a very ADHD performance from Kostas Tsimikas today, wasn't it? I think he needs to go to sleep. To be honest, I think he had one too many Red Bulls before kickoff. But yeah, it was. Yeah, that's what I think today, and I think Ox will be disappointed in himself coming off the pitch because I think he would have seen that as a real opportunity today to earn himself more minutes and get himself higher up in the pecking order. But he didn't do that, and I don't think people will be harsh. We know football fans are harsh, and football people will be saying ridiculous things about Ox right now. It wasn't an awful performance from Ox, but it was meh. It's as simple as that. Matthew Murphy says, can't wait to see Harvey Elliott get more minutes. Completely agree, Matthew. Jacob says, Trent was looking very good today. No doubt he's the best right back in the world after that performance. Yeah, first half, everything we created was through Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's such a threat for us. He's so important. He causes teams so many problems on that right-hand side. He's just, wow. What a player. Still so young as well. And I just hope we have Trent forever because what a player he is. He's outstanding. He really is. Gerard FC says, love and unselfish Mo. Yes, this is what I was coming on to, but then I got distracted by all your comments. That was it for me today. Mohamed Salah looked hot, fiery all game. He was really on it, outstanding throughout the game. But for me, it was that unselfishness for Bobby's goal where, it was just a vision and a beautiful pass to find Bobby and, finish the game really to put it out of reach for Norwich. And, that made it 2-0. It was we were a bit on edge before then. It looked like a goal was coming for us, but 1-0 isn't a comfortable scoreline whatsoever. And just the unselfishness from him when he very easily could have had a go himself to try and get off the mark for the season, I thought was superb from Mo. And then his finish was just top class. Really, really impressed with Mohamed Salah's performance today. And potential Golden Boot winner this season. I think so. And as I say, we have to talk again. Some opposition fans think he's overrated. Some opposition fans have said that he would be a one-season wonder. Well, look at him now. Gabriel says, hate to say it, but United look sharp. Yes, they did. So did we. It's going to be a four-horse race this season. Let's be honest. Chelsea looked good today as well. Man City will always look strong. We looked good. United looked good today. So yeah, it's going to be tight at the top of the table. It's going to need a good points tally, and we've got off to a good start, haven't we? John says, "Who was your man of the match?" For me, it's a no-brainer. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. For me, it has to be Virgil van Dijk. Joking. For me, it has to be Mohamed Salah. A goal and 2 assists. It was a superb performance. That goal as well, a magnificent finish. And for me, he just ran the game for us. He looked so dangerous, and he was just outstanding. He really was. So yeah, really, really impressed with him today. And for me, it's easy for him being man of the match. I think there were some good players as well. I think Van Dijk, who I jokingly mentioned, but I think he was a very good performer for us today. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold was outstanding, as we said before. But yeah, for me, it has to be Mohamed Salah, though I'd say Trent is closer than anyone else to him to rival him for that man of the match trophy today. But no, for me, man of the match is certainly Mohamed Salah without a shadow of a doubt. Let's have a look who you think for man of the match. Pino says Mo. Ragnetra says Mo was phenomenal. That's a word I'm really struggling with today. I don't know why. RJ Moon says that VVD was class. Mick Wall agrees Mo was man of the match. Famous soundtrack says for me it was Trent. Pino says Mo is insane. Zach says Matip was class. Yeah, I think Matip had a good game today as well. And that's interesting too, isn't it? With all the centre-back options we have going into this season, Konate being bought in, Gomez looking good in pre-season after a difficult injury for him last season, Van Dijk back, Matip back. It's going to be difficult, and our centre backs can't afford to have an off day, can they? And Matip today made sure that he put in a good performance, and he needed to. And there's pressure on the centre backs now. If you don't want to lose your place in the side, you have to perform, and Joel Matip did that today. Let's have a look. Anyone else? Jake Campbell says you and Craig should do the watch-alongs together. Maybe it's something for the future. You'll have to wait and see. Yeah, you'll have to wait and see. Craig's the one to ask, not me. The guy whose name I can't say says that save by Alisson. Yeah, I spoke about that. Outstanding, wasn't it? Really good. Really, really good save. And that just shows what Alisson brings. He can not have to do much all game and then produce a world-class save like that. Amr says Alisson, man of the match. Renegade Raider says Matip was shit. I don't agree. I think he was good. I don't think he was outstanding. I think he produced a very good performance. I don't think he did anything wrong. So I don't know where that's come from. Let me know what you lot think in the comments, though. Pino says Mane is back. Yep, really good. To see if we have Mane in top form this season, that brings us something more than we had last season. Obviously, he had a difficult season last season. The first time in a Liverpool shirt we've seen Mane really struggle. But he looked good today, and hopefully, he can get more goals this season than he did last. And if we have that four of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Diogo Jota. If we have all four of them on top form this season, then we're definitely going to be up there. We really will be. They're the key for us going forwards. And yeah, a goal for three of them today. Only Mane without one, and fingers crossed he can get at least one next weekend against Burnley. Let's have a look. Anything else here? Gamer Station says Tsimikas was poor, to be honest. There were shaky moments. Come on. He's someone that... it was... It was a Moreno-like performance, wasn't it? I've said this. It was a very Moreno performance from Tsimikas. Very, very shaky. And yeah, it's as simple as that. It was just shaky from Tsimikas at times. There were moments going forwards for him where I thought he looked good. But yeah, he looks like a player who's not had many minutes in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. I agree with this from Live an Adventure. He says he started well but faded. I think he was much better in the first half than the second. But yeah, he looked very shaky at times, extremely. Let's have a look. Dara Azizi points out that Tsimikas took some very good corners, which is a very good point because there's a lot of Liverpool corners that don't beat the first man. But I thought Tsimikas' delivery was very good today. It's Zach's thoughts on Klopp without the glasses. It's taken a lot to get used to, isn't it? But yeah, as long as it avoids another situation with what happened at Norwich a few years ago. Kush says Tsimikas started getting nervous. I think that's what it was. I'd agree with John Salkeld as well, saying that he ran out of energy at about 60. I'd agree with that. He looked deflated. He found himself out of position a lot. That moment when Milner had a go at him, you could see that he was annoyed at himself. And for me, it was just maybe the occasion was a bit too big for him. I think, as I say, he's not had too many Premier League minutes, and maybe he was just too eager to impress. And in the first half, maybe he overexerted himself too much. And by the last half an hour, 20 minutes, was just absolutely shattered and started losing his head a bit. Let's have a look. Do you think Tsimikas will play versus Chelsea or Milner? I think Tsimikas will start against Burnley next weekend, and then it'll be, it'll depend on how good he performs that day. If he's shaky again, I think Klopp will probably go with Milner. But yeah, for me, at the moment, we've got to wait and see what happens with the Burnley game. Yeah, I'd agree. As I've said numerous times throughout this, he's like Moreno. He's so much better going forwards than he is defensively. His ball delivery, his crossing, outstanding. But defensively, as I say, he found himself out of position. He took too long on the ball at times. Just shaky. Yeah, and Mark Lilly agrees with me about his positioning. It can be rectified. A few people asking where Hendo is. I've said numerous times he's not had a full pre-season. That's why. And Mark Lilly agrees with me on Tsimikas. We definitely need to give him more than one game, surely. That is where I'm going to leave it for today. You've had half an hour of me. I'm sure you can't take any more. But I'll be back throughout this week doing videos with Craig. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed it personally. And I will be back with a match reaction again next weekend. Following Craig's one, as always. I am also live before every game on Instagram. I'm really going to push the socials this season. I'll be live on Instagram so many more times. I'm going to try and do them cool voice things on Twitter as well, where I can invite people for conversations on Twitter. So yeah, hope you've all enjoyed this from me. I hope you enjoyed Craig's watch along earlier too. Thank you very much to you all for joining me, and I shall see you very soon. 3 points for the Reds, a clean sheet, and a 3-0 win to start us off for the season. Up the Reds. See you soon. Good night.